with time you will develop a skill of observation of yourself with practice, where you can see where the potentials inside you are pushing. You know, the forces set in motion, but those forces that did not reach your diaphragm or your perception at the level of the intellect or the mind. Everything that is not yet clear enough in your head, or even more, sometimes you don't see something until it is physically manifested. If something manifests physically, thank you, dear. And where's that? Oh my God, did you do it on purpose? You just put the lid on?
I didn't look at it.
It's perfect. Oh my God. Thank you. It's just a sign that God tells me that I'm in a state of integrity right now. I was wondering if I was playing the drama this morning by having conversations with people, and you know, if I was just trying to, you know, flee, or if whatever I was doing was because I felt pretty human this morning. I was wondering, God, tell me, am I okay? Am I stuck in drama? Or is it part of the fact that I wanted to help you, so I live at your level? I wanted to have a clear answer, because sometimes I need the guidance too. And I've got the lid thing, which says you're completely exactly on what you had to do. You share what you had to share at the people you did, and I spoke to a few people, and you know, I'm happy with that. So, sometimes there's a lot of things going on inside you that you don't know until it reaches your mind, and if you're stuck with so much arrogance or ignorance, you won't even acknowledge until it becomes physically manifest, and when it's physically manifest, even you'll fight to justify it, to explain it in ways that, oh, it might be because of that, because your interpretation of the physical manifestation is not the actual perception of the potentials inside that were set in motion to actually cause it. It's another layer of illusion of, it might be because of that, and you invoke, you know, what you've read in New Age books and the karma and the wisdom of the saints to kind of compose an even more woven, thicker woven veil of what is manifested is because of this, of that, and you'll even have visions of that and believe in those visions, thinking those visions are real, and in fact they're just a projection on your mind of the lie that you're enforcing. So that level of lie goes further, and when someone tries to prove there's a lie, you just go in denial to fight it, and then you can't face the shame, and you know, it just compresses more potential that will just keep doing that. So instead of believing in the explanation of why you don't want to know the actual facts as they are, or why you don't want to know the facts themselves, or why the facts had to become facts before you could see it in the mind, and how you didn't acknowledge in the mind, or how you could not even see what is going on inside before it actually goes into the projection outside, you will grow skills of observation, because there are potentials set in motion. And that was my teaching this morning. I was wondering, God, what am I teaching this morning? And actually, I was being taught through experience, this is what you're going to teach. Well, obviously it was something I already knew, even through experience, not just intellectually. But I wanted to have a clear answer, so I got it. And then I wondered about the methods, you know, to go and believe in the drama of other people, you know, to go and play along at this level of human thing. And seriously, that was so pretty cool, because in the end, God allowed me to understand once more what was building up and what was going to happen if I didn't come and intervene and do the teaching I need to give. So, and I really appreciate that you accept that I remain cryptic. It's not that I have something to hide, but I certainly have people to respect, and you can understand that. So, I'm going to re-say, sometimes I go and live drama at the level where there seems to be drama. And I was wondering, why am I still living that kind of drama? I just got tired this morning. Usually I know why I live the drama. I understand it. I look at the facts, and if I share the drama with you, you evolve faster and your integrations are easier. Don't you find it more easy to integrate when I'm just around? Even if we're not communicating. I mean, the integration process is so obvious. And I'm living personal dramas certainly at a different scale, you would say. From my perspective, it's just another drama, and from your perspective, it's oh, it's completely different because for you, it's the reaction of the soul towards the light of God, and well, I mean, for me, it's just another dream. You're human towards your own soul, your soul towards yourself as God, and God towards the idea that there's one. I had a judgment in this line of thought a few weeks ago, and I did say this sometime in seminar. This person saying, Maha, did you just have a judgment? And I said, yes, it was. You have judgments? I said, I have no judgment of having one. I don't mind having a judgment. I stay in charge. You see, that judgment was a way to qualify something that was interpreted as a judgment, but the person couldn't only conceive it as a judgment. For me, it was just a way to use words with a lack of the ability to speak without words. I needed to use concept that these humans could refer to, and because it wasn't racist, but it looked racist. It was comparing different classes of people and saying that acting that way is better than acting that way, and then it seemed to be a judgment towards the population of the world. It wasn't the Muslims, by the way. I don't judge the Muslims. They have more faith than anyone else in the world. It's just they have their problems too,
Muslims.
The Muslims. They have more faith than anyone in the world. They're the lords of faith. There's also the lords of stupidity at certain levels, but there's a lord. They're the perfect masters of faith, and their God really does interact with them amongst their suffering. And, their suffering is not caused because they're stupid in their religion. It's caused because there's conflict for humans. Has nothing to do with their faith. Their faith is so wonderful. And they have it pretty hard with charity. The masters of charity is the Christians. Yeah? And the masters of compassion are Buddhists. And there's a difference between faith and devotion. The masters of devotion are the Hindu. And the masters of self-infatuation are the Kabbalists. I know personally because I'm one and I know a lot. I'm not talking about the true Kabbalists. I'm talking about everyone who just try very hard. The Kabbalists are in love with God. They do have certain level of faith. They do try to develop virtue. And they're so convinced of being right about everything that they can't even see when they're completely wrong, because they are stuck in that I'm right. Like the Gnostics or the agnostics. Both of them. Everyone's right. To discover the truth, you need to develop that attitude that you don't know until you look at the actual cause. So sometimes when you want to know where you're at, you will take a moment. What is going on? You need to do the vipassana of what's going on. What's up, dude? Or was it what up, what's up, duck? Depending on how much Teletoon you've been watching. So the vipassana of just observing what's going on and practicing looking at the potential set in motion. And the more you gain experience, the more you'll have revelations. So let's say you do a lot of meditation and you do a lot of spiritual practice, and for let's say a week or something, you spend a lot of time with a new lover. And there's absolutely nothing wrong in doing that. It's actually, someone told me yesterday, spending time with my lover hinders my spiritual path, because I do less spiritual practice. I spend less time with my mala or time in prayer or absorbed in front of my altar, and said, spiritual technique is to get you to discover your spirituality, and having your love relationship is spirituality. Going to work in that job that is boring, that is spirituality. Spirituality is not the time sitting doing malas. That's technique. That's to make sure that you are on a spiritual path when you go back to work. That's to make sure that you are on a spiritual path when you spend all that beautiful time with the new lover. It is your spiritual path. The guilt that the human has, when I'm doing stuff that is human, I feel I'm rejecting God. And I say, well, go and do malas. Not in the meaning you should do spiritual practice to make sure. No, in the meaning, do malas and do stuff that will get you back in that spiritual state, so that you will be on your spiritual path with that lover or at the job that seems to be so boring. So that you will get the better attitude. But your spiritual path is not sitting in front of the altar. That's practice. That's to condition yourself. That's to develop your relationship with God. And of course, if everything is your spiritual path, then being in front of the altar is your spirituality. But not because it's being in front of the altar. It's because when you get to be a spiritual being, everything is your spiritual path. I just hope you get the difference. So this practice of looking what's going on inside, while everything is beautiful to go at the job that that doesn't bring you that much entertainment, but it's okay. There's not a perfect job. A job is a job. At one point there's happy moments and boring moments, and sometimes more than others. And it's wonderful to be in love. You just need to keep focus while you play with your human. New dense potentials are set in motion. Are you going to wait for them to manifest suffering before you do the integration? Are you going to see, oh, I'm boiling. I know right now that my ego is just taking so much place because I'm having physical fun with people, and my ego is starting to find that fun more important than the lessons I'm getting out of it. And that's the point. You must have fun in life, because that fun gives you something, not because it's fun. Have fun in life because you do get a lesson out of it. To be in a spiritual path while in love, you always need to look at what this relationship brings you in terms of personal growth and spiritual growth. If you're in love as something else than your spiritual path, if you're in love as I've done enough practice, now I'm going to enjoy myself, and it stops there, then your love relationship is not your spiritual path. Go and do malas. But the point is, you will still be in denial, because your love relationship is your spiritual path. You just need to remember that it is. Remember that it is. And as you play with your body, and as you have fun as a human, and as you see your paychecks coming from the job, that ego, that denser version of you, the denser aspects, these potentials, you pay attention to them, so they grow. And they try to cover more grounds. So if you wait for these potentials to take over again, then that love relationship becomes a drama. And even if you have to break up that relationship, at one point you have to just let go of what you have to let go. If you stayed in the attitude that it was part of your spiritual experience, that every lesson is just part of the lessons and the growing process, the morning will be easier, because it will be the attitude of I did it to enjoy, because that is what God does, enjoy. And I didn't do it because I want to forget about God and just be a human because it's cool. Okay? Same thing, same results, same fun, with the attitude of remembering why did the soul get here in the first place. It wasn't to have a nice fuck. It was to learn from having a nice fuck. You understand the difference? It wasn't to be in the arms of the man you want or the woman you want. It was to get the experience of being in the arms of the lover. And as for the job and having children, you know, having children, there are happy moments and there are certainly boring or even challenging moments. Especially when we're in control as parents. I know by experience, being in control doesn't work. You need to be in service, and authority is being in service to children. Okay? As opposed to be in the state of control, to torture their mind because you're right and they're wrong. You know? That's a stupid approach to parenthood. We're never shown how to be a parent until we look at ourselves. In any case, the boring parts of the relationship, the boring parts of the parenthood experience, the boring parts of the job are even more boring when they are not your spiritual path. Okay? If you remember that you go through the long repeating processes as a means to cultivate your steadfastness and your patience. Instead of keeping your mind on the drama, my job is so fucking boring. Go and do your best. I feel boredom because my job is meant for me to discover something like steadfastness, perseverance, determination. Is this an English word, perseverance?
Yeah.
Okay. Perseverance. Okay. I just say it with the French accent. Didn't see to exist in English. So, where's your mind at? I was listening to this song, wedge your head now. Of course it means wedge it, but when I didn't know the words, I thought it was saying, where's your head now? Wedge your head now, wedge your head. And I just would play it again and play it again, until I learned it wasn't the phrase, where's your head, but wedge your, just give yourself a big hit, Well, which makes no sense anymore, so I couldn't use that. But I would play it for weeks. Each time I got in my car, it was the thing. I played the 11th track of my little techno mix, I wasn't always 39. Up to 38 and a half, I did listen to electronic music. Oh, okay. So, oh my God, I still do actually. So I could use human means to just remind me, where's my mind? Where am I going? What's the thing? I would use human means. I wouldn't put on a prayer, always. I do put on prayers usually when I go to my car. But for a while, it wasn't prayers. You see, my spiritual path was to listen to techno. That made me believe that, it's a conditioning. Where's my head? What am I thinking? What's going on? And another phrase of that same song, which is, don't let the world cave in on you, had more sense. Don't allow that world to crush me. So I use human means. I use a song, like another song which was not popular for very long, but it was Burn, Motherfucker, Burn. From, I don't know who, but a Burn, Motherfucker, Burn. I have to go back from where I came from. How could I believe that? Nah, 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 nah. And it probably is the singing of a woman that is just angry at a boyfriend, but that's her perception. My perception is I'm on fire and I'm absorbed in the Shakti, because to fuck the mother is to be in love with Shakti, okay, for me. So I decided to hear Burn, Motherfucker, Burn, and just be burning with the divine Shakti by being in love, and then just get the incest judgment out, because I was not physically fucking my mother. That would have been completely awful. I was in, I choose to reinterpret the words for how it could have a meaning. Listening to that song is my spiritual path. And I decided that it was to remind me that I'm filled with the Shakti of my Creator. I decided how I would live it. So you're in charge of how you interpret whatever you look at. And for this seminar, I purchased the TV and the video center, and people freak out. What? The master brought a TV? Yeah, we got a flat screen. We could enjoy movies. Some of you watched it. And we watched Underworld, vampire and lichens, and that was cool. And then I could tell you, well, the vampire is a sterile mind, and the lichens is the heart. And when both are left alone, just one goes crazy in a rage, and one is all about the power it gets. And when they finally want to be in love, the entire society is in conflict. When the harmony is starting to happen in the middle of that, just go on and go on how I wanted to interpret something that could have just been another science fiction movie. You decide where you see symbolics. You're in charge. And if it's the boring moment, I will not try to train you in any way to stop finding them boring. I will tell you that you'll find them boring until you're at peace. You will find them boring, these moments, these long moments at the job. Or when you come back alone and there's no lover right now to hold you or make you believe that you're important from an exterior source. You will find these moments boring. You will. Until you reach the point of being at peace, enjoying that finally, when the mind is settled and there's no excitement, I can be at peace. So if you're not at peace, at being at peace, of course you can't be at peace when it's time to be at peace. You can't be at peace when peace is going on. You can't be happy and calm when happy and calm moments happen, because you don't see them as such. So no, the boring moments won't go away. It won't. And it's not a way to train the mind. You can't train your mind. It has to be a deeper level training, and you have to go to the core of how you experience stuff. And do a lot of vipassana, observing how much inside you there is a need of entertainment and shock and change. A need inside to have outside validation. You can't be at peace being alone when something inside disagrees with when nothing happens, And doing something repeatedly teaches us that sense of peace and harmony. You just take the bolt, fit it in. Take the bolt, fit it in. Take the bolt, fit it in. 8 hours, you punch, you go home, eat your little meal, watch TV. It was a nice day. Do it again. Take a bolt, fit it in. Take a bolt, fit it in. Your life is not as boring as that, but sometimes it is. For a moment. Sometimes just meditation. Even in administration. Clunk. Clunk. Well, it's not that. You actually get to read the paper, validate it and stuff, and you end up going that anyway, You end up doing this. I mean, I imagine customs agents had the feeling of doing just that, when in fact they're actually doing an entire study. Each person that comes, what's going on, they have some kind of joke. Why do I say joke when I say job? They have some kind of joke. That's my reaction, right? You see, I don't judge the custom agents because I appreciate them. I'm just angry that the system does not trust me enough to keep it cool. But each time I get interrogated by a custom agent, I just had a judgment. I need to talk about it. I can't leave it there. That's my attitude. If I just had a judgment that caused me to use the word joke, I mean, that's a joke. I had a judgment. And anyone in their mind would say, oh, I just missed a word, and boom, and go on with the job, correct word. I said joke, I decided to say job, and joke came out again. Okay, that's the judgment. change of teaching. I need to tell you about that. You see, that's the attitude to have. I need to tell you about what caused my judgment. I so enjoy having conversations with custom agents. I'm still affected when they jump and, you know, one of them hits the table. You have to give me numbers now and tell me how much money you're doing in the U.S., da-da-da. I'm not making money in the U.S. I am not offending your system. Come on. Keep it cool. I live with donations. At one point, I'll make a donation. It has nothing to do with seminar. It might be an American. It might be an American I never saw. You know, some people give me donations. That's how I live. You know, and it's their job to make sure that if I'm abusing the system, they will punch me in the face, you know, and just, well, not physically, they will just try to throw me out and never welcome me again in the U.S. And I understand that. It's just, I've been like 20 times in that interrogation where they have to act impressive, and I'm looking at them and I completely know where it comes from and why they have to do it. I say, yes, sir. Call the people, I mean, call the military, call the cops, call the people I help. They will tell you what I bring to the U.S. and I'm not being paid for it, okay? They will tell you. So I said it's a joke, and it's a joke. That means I was not in charge. Something inside me took over while I was giving you a teaching on something else. And what is that thing? I'm bored repeatedly each time I come, having to go through a process which is just a dream to shake out the truth. And the truth that falls from that tree is, I'm okay. I'm bringing good to the country. And I'm doing it as legally as one can. Okay? Yes, I'm not doing absolutely anything illegal. Do you understand? But I can't trust it. Okay, so that's my judgment. It's not with the custom agents. It's with the system of, okay. So do you have these judgments? If I shared it, okay, I had a judgment while I was speaking, boom. Now I have to tell you, do you have the judgment with the law? Do you have the judgment with society? Do you find it boring? Oh, I have to go and do my income tax report. I'm losing you. Take a deep breath. Do you have reactions with making your income tax report? Because it's numbers, and why do I have to do these numbers? And for you, it's not just the income tax report, it's everyday paperwork, eh? Can I just give him the money and it's about that?
I just don't want to give them.
Yeah, for you it's a reaction of not giving the money. It's greed, ingratitude for the system. That's not good. You know, don't expect the system to work in your favor when you don't want to work for it. You know that John F. Kennedy phrase, don't ask what the country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Well, I have another version. Don't ask what God can do for you, but what you can do for God. Same thing, yeah? You have reactions when you go home and your lover didn't do what you were expecting them to do. Or maybe you come home and there's no lover and say, oh, okay, one of those boring days. That's to teach you something, and you have to look at what is going on inside before it has to manifest physically. Okay. Can you do that? Can you have the courage to consider this? So I have a judgment regarding something that aggresses me on exactly the topic that I'm teaching today, which endorses the fact that I am living the drama and the dharma like I was telling you this morning when I started the entire speech. I live it like you. Samsara is samsara, and the suffering and the causes of irritation do not go away. We simply learn how to deal with them. Play with your lovers. Remember, it's a spiritual event. Physically manifested. Flesh is a spiritual experience. Materialism is a spiritual experience. Except in the head of a materialist. In the head of a spiritualist, a materialist experience is a spiritual one. Because there's only that. There's no reason for your soul to come here in incarnation than to be incarnate and evolve from incarnation. You don't evolve in your mind sitting in front of nothing doing meditation. You don't evolve from that. There's no evolution coming from meditation. No evolution coming from meditation at all. There's evolution by experiencing life physically. And when there seems to be evolution from the meditation, it's because you had a physical experience that allowed your soul to absorb it while in meditation. But the meditation didn't bring the evolution. The meditation gave a break for the soul to absorb it. That evolution was to be physically incarnate in your body, living here on earth, being human. That's evolution. That's how your soul gets experiences. Meditation is a break, it's a moment of contemplation and compilation of the results, you know. It's like, that's how the soul does its own income tax report, you know. It fills in the numbers and files the paperwork with the government, which is God in that metaphor. Okay? You want to have an easier life? Do spiritual practice. Take a mala, a rosary if it's your path, and do practice. Then you have an easier life. And each time some people come and tell me, but it's hard, I don't know what to do, my choices are not clear. Do you do integration on your own, without guidance? Do you work to get better at it? Or you just depend forever on someone else to teach you how to do it? Do you do spiritual practice? Do you do malas? Jesus asked to someone asking for help, do you have faith? And if they didn't, he couldn't do anything. So it's the same thing. And in that time, the dictionary had 6,000 words or something, and they use about 300 to communicate, as opposed to today we have 65,000 words and we use 3,000 about to communicate in daily life. So they had a daily life communication with like 300 to 500 words. Okay, so they didn't have the difference between having faith, doing spiritual practice, praying, going to church. If you had faith, you did everything that was related to faith, which included sitting and praying every day. Okay? And if you did not have faith, it means that you did nothing about it. There was no like, I have faith, I just don't practice. Okay, no, that doesn't work. Okay? In their book, having faith is you do have everything has to do with it. You do it for them it was to see the rabbi and you know and be with the elders to learn and then pray and read the Torah and stuff like that. Okay, so someone who has faith for Jesus is someone that is implicated, personally implicated and responsible. Okay, so if Jesus could not do anything for someone who didn't do the practice, how can I do anything if you don't do the practice? Okay, you will not be saved by any other than yourself. It will not happen in any other way. So if what you're looking for is a Savior, you have enjoyed so far the seminar, you have enjoyed so far what you learned, because that wisdom is so important to know how to deal with life issues. Then, deal with life issues. You know, don't just acquire the wisdom because while I was acquiring it, it was fun. Coming to the seminar is great because we do practice. Because I tell you, breathe, and you breathe, and then do this and do that, and you do the practice, and you say, wow, it was so great being with Maha. Well, I do accept that I have a part of the credit of that entire event, and whatever you have felt, I have my share of the credit. But you have yours, and don't discredit that. It worked because you did the practice when I asked you to do it. Now you can go home and do it without me asking for it, and just take care of it. Be responsible. Do it. If you find it hard to integrate, you're not doing enough malas or vipassana. Real vipassana, you know, not the boring 12 hours, let's wait and see, but the implicated, focused, exhaustive observation vipassana of go in there and stir that shit and live it in stillness. Subjective, eh? He goes, yeah, sir. Get that staff on Maya Brown. I'm teasing you, dude. I hope that was clear enough. If you complain, but you're not doing anything with what you learn, how to deal with that suffering, what do you want me to do? Tell you to go do it? I will. Okay, go do your mouth. And then go sit and integrate and suffer your stuff. It's hard. Call someone. Email someone. Let's sit and talk about what you're living. At least while you'll be talking about your experience, there will be some kind of integration. You'll be looking at yourself. And hopefully you'll be breathing through the suffering if there's any. And you'll be breathing in the happiness if there's any. Get together and pray. Do stuff. Can't do it alone, too boring. You're not getting the lesson of boredom, which is to be steadfast and progressive and strong and self-sufficient. But, I mean, if you won't do it anyway, just do it with people and find a way to do it in groups. Call a few friends. Meet. As long as it doesn't become a religion, you know. Vajra is a religion of not having one. So you can't start, you know, renting a room every day, gather 50 people, 100 people every week, unless it's useful. It's not because you have to, but, you know, at Tara's place, people meet every 2 weeks now, I think. Do they, Tara? And they do have scheduled meetings, and it's useful. But it's not because it's a religion and you have to. It's because every 2 weeks is a good way to organize the getting together. So get together. Just remember, it's not because we're a religious cult and we want people to get it in a state of mind, a framework. You have to be able to stay functional when you miss one of those classes and do it on your own. Okay, it's important. So, you know, the effort you put in not doing the practice, I can't help you if you don't. And if you do, I'm going to take time with you and I'm going to talk and I'm going to do what's required for you to get further. I will. Do your work, I'll do mine. And that's how it works. Thank you. That was a nice little teaching this morning about the drama and how to look at different aspects of life and how to learn from the happy and mostly from the boring moments. And if you remember, there's a part of this teaching of don't wait for shit to happen before you see you look at the shit going on. And sometimes it's not bad stuff. Sometimes it's just be aware of the potentials that are set in motion because you pay attention to so much human things that the human potentials grow in power, and they will make you forget that these human things are supposed to be spiritual things also. That's the point. That's why we do spiritual practice. So that we'll remember that every practice, even the practice of taking a beer with the friends, is a spiritual practice. Okay? It's the attitude of being in normal life and staying enlightened when you get enlightenment, instead of dropping out of enlightenment. I went back to life, drop of enlightenment. It was so cool. I finally got it when I was studying with that great master, but I went back home and boom. Well, it's okay. It's a question of training. When I'm working my computer, I'm not thinking about the oneness of God and, you know, the bliss that flows through every one of my students or myself. You know, no, I'm in what's going on right now. Okay, just that. If I want to go in bliss, I go sit and I go. Don't even have to wait for it anymore. But why am I so efficient at being in bliss the moment that I want to feel comforted? You know, in the most profound drama, I would go sit. Okay, I'll take care of my drama back in 5 minutes. Right now I want a break, and I'm going to sit in bliss and oneness. And I kind of dissolve the idea of having human problems. But then again, I'm not here and now in my flesh if I stay there. So it's a question of practice, of accepting that it is beautiful to go and have a dramatic experience. You're just not there yet. It's okay, one thing at a time. I love you a lot. You have to do it on your own. You have to love you a lot. All right. Let's take a small break and we'll go religious, non-religious.